What is up, guys? It's the John Gaz. I'm coming at you today with another Ed, and Eddy conspiracy theory. You know, one of the things that I love about this show is how many mysteries there are behind it. For example, like where are the adults? Or why are there always pieces of technology from different decades being used at the same time? And what's under Double D's hat? You know, I actually answered those first two questions in another video regarding the purgatory theory about this show. I made that video about a year ago, so I say it's due time to make another Ed, and Eddy theory. And this time we're going to be answering the third question that I asked. What is under that sock that Double D is always wearing on his head? You know, there is actually an episode where Double D just straight up says, I got a bad haircut and now I wear a sock on my head. There really isn't much mystery behind that. But actually, according to this theory, the reason that his haircut looks bad is because his hair is all falling out from chemotherapy. That is right, my friends. Double D has cancer. I mean, it somewhat makes sense. There's only 2 times throughout the entire series where his hat actually completely comes off and he isn't able to hide it. And both times, Ed and Eddy are the only 2 who are around to see it. And also, both times, he absolutely freaks out about it. And I don't mean he freaks out as in like he's really embarrassed by it. I mean he freaks out about it. The first time we see it come off is when he, Ed, and Eddy are all sitting in his room together. And when it comes off, both Eddy and Ed seem to be pretty shocked. We believe that at this point it's when his hair is starting to noticeably fall out. Now Double D insists that they keep quiet about it and don't tell anybody about what they now know. Ed promises that he won't, and Eddy says that he'll use it to his advantage sometime in the future, probably not realizing the seriousness of what the situation is. The second time it comes off is in the movie series finale, and again, only Ed and Eddy are around to see it. Eddy, who now understands how serious the situation is, makes a quick joke about it because his only real way to deal with things like this is humor. When Ed sees it, he rubs the top of his own head and asks, does it hurt, Double D? And also you may notice that every time his hat or what's underneath his hat comes up in conversation, Double D always tries really hard to change the subject really quickly. Now, if we take a look at his parents, they're super protective over Double D. They communicate with him mostly through post-it notes, just reminding him to do chores and stay out of trouble. I'd say that their overprotectiveness could come from them not wanting to lose their one and only child, who's also very sick. We could even go as far as to say that one of Double D's parents died of cancer. Being that neither of them are ever seen and don't really take on any important roles outside of the post-it notes, it's not that hard to believe. You see, if one of his parents died of cancer, it would make sense that Double D also had it because he got it through genetics. And if one of them did die, we could probably assume that it's his father. The reason that we're assuming this is because there is an episode where Eddy is actually placing post-it notes around Double D's house for random things for him to do. And even though what the post-it notes say is ludicrous, Double D is following them because he says that mother knows best. Any post-it notes that are signed by his father are actually his mother pretending to be his father, trying to keep his memory alive in what little way she can. Now, if we look at Double D's mind and body, he's an absolute genius. He's always performing experiments and reading books. Now, if we take a look at what those experiments involve and what those books are about, they're mainly about finding the cure for cancer. Being that the chemotherapy isn't really working, Double D has dedicated his life to finding the cure to his disease. And if we look at his body, he's scrawny and weak with just a couple of hairs poking out of the front and back of his hat. This could definitely be a side effect of the chemotherapy that he's been treated with since the start of the show. And finally, if you take a look at the way that the other kids in the neighborhood treat Double D, they're honestly a little bit nicer to him than they are to everybody else. This could be because the Ed and Eddy, despite loving Double D, felt inclined to tell the neighborhood kids that they all had a very sick friend, and they just don't want to make his life any harder. And that, you guys, is the entire theory. Thank you so much for watching. Like I always do, I'm going to ask for some feedback from you guys in the form of rating, commenting, and subscribing. And also, if any of you guys feel like being super fans at the moment, you can also follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and like my Facebook fan page. I'm always posting stuff on those sites, and they're definitely the best way to stay updated with what I'm doing between videos. Whether you do all of that stuff or not, I love every one of you guys regardless. Thank you for stopping by, and stay fresh.